Hey kitty, guess what? Guess what? No, don't leave me. Well, yay! I reached 50,000 words, which is great. Cool, nice. Even though, as I predicted, I'm not actually done writing the story. I still have half of the actual ending and the epilogue. And in the words of that episode of Supernatural that should have ended this series but didn't, writing endings are hard. Writing an ending is also hard. Like, even just grammatically getting those two sentences correct, I had to stop and think about it, and that was like a middle. Middles are easy, because you can start there. Beginnings are easy, that's why there are so many unfinished fics floating around the internet. Anyway, yay! 50,000 words done! So, now it's time for Edit-cember. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and she's like, so there should be a thing, so like NaNoWriMo, like following that in like December or January, it should be like the edit month. And I presented her with Edit-cember, Edit-ember, E-December. Anyway, so yeah. So as a thing, I thought it would be cool if I read a clip from my story. So I'm going to read the first part of the first chapter and see where that goes. So I present to you, working title by me. The kind of listless boredom that does not lend itself to more than fevered organization of desktops and staccatoed walks from one end of the office to the other as deliberations of activities to do chase themselves around her head had made itself home in the tips of her fingers. She didn't want to appear unoccupied in case a coworker walked past her cubicle and saw her blank computer screen, but neither did she think it a good idea to skim the web for postings of employment while at her current workplace of employment. However, the temptation grew heavier, drawing her tapping fingers to press harder on the keys of the keyboard. "Hey, B." A light knock against the wall of her cubicle made her jolt straight in her seat, which spun around to face the disturbance. B's coworker, Ed, half grinned. "That was the second time I called. You looked a million miles away over there. Is everything all right?" B laughed self-deprecatingly and waved her hand around her head. "I've just not been here at all today. Sorry. Did you need something?" "Yeah. I was wondering if you could help me with the file system on the computer?" B's eyes unfocused as he outlined the problem of technology rebelling, feeling herself detached from the office chair and the freezing air condition. She came back down long enough to show Ed how to manage the system settings to his satisfaction, and managed to hold herself there for a full 5 minutes before drifting off again. Her thumb tapped the space bar of her keyboard, while the other hand scrolled up and down her inbox. Getting up from her chair, she fell into a daydream about how nice the sun on her skin would feel while passing a window, then had to pause at the end of the hall to remember why she had gotten up in the first place. She doubled back to her desk twice, before finally deciding to just go out to the water fountain, though she wasn't thirsty. On the way back to her home after work, she stared at a green traffic signal without hitting the acceleration for a full minute, nearly drifted into the emergency lane, and only jolted from her reverie when the car behind her let out a shrill, reprimanding honk. Lying in bed that night, phone alarm set on the dresser, Bee resolved to have a better day tomorrow. No more drifting off. The thought comforted her as she dropped off to sleep. Perhaps Bee was simply having a bad day. Perhaps the tedious minutiae of the life she had fallen into had finally built up to the point where her waking consciousness sought oblivion instead of another moment of it. In any case, when Bee's eyes opened the next morning, she was not the one behind them. "Who are you?" she said to the thing wearing her face. It blinked spectral black eyes at her, posing her arm in a cheery wave. "Acadia is what you humans have taken to calling those with my inclination. Pleasure to be possessing you." Huh. Bee ghosted a step behind as her doppelganger got out of bed to brush her teeth. The bristles tickle, Acadia giggled, mouth frothing like a rabid dog. This is a very strange dream, Bee mused. You need more color in your wardrobe, Acadia responded, pulling on a white, green, and red pair of holiday socks up to the knee of her violet skirt. I've had dreams like this before, you know, Bee said from the passenger seat of the car. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt, as her fingers kept ghosting through the buckle. I'll hit the alarm and dream I've gone to work and come back, and then my alarm rings again. I'm confused because I think it's already the next day. You need to hook your iPod into your speakers, Acadia sang off-key in time with the radio, head banging to the guitar riff, and get some music! This really must be a dream. Bee lounged in the corner of her cubicle, watching her body talk animatedly with Ed, her coworker, before returning to type a memo on the keyboard. The keys make different sounds depending on which ones you hit, Acadia whisper-hissed, filling the screen with the lighted smash of expletives. Maybe my subconscious is trying to tell me to start going out more or something. Acadia giggled as she sipped a white glass of wine, music blaring from the bar speakers, mixing cacophonously with the commercial jingles from the row of televisions above the expensive liquor shelf. The bubbles burn against the roof of my mouth like a swarm of wasps. Is this what not liking a sensation feels like? She quaffed the rest of the glass, nose wrinkling. I love it! The alarm is going to go off again in a minute. Bee rested on the empty side of her bed, hand propping up her head. And I'm going to feel exhausted before ever even doing anything. Tomorrow's gonna suck. No, Acadia said, snuggling down in a fort of pillows and comforters unearthed from the linen cupboard. It's going to be so much fun. Anyway, so that's I'm at the 7-minute mark, so I'm going to call it quits, but that's the first part of my story. I have to edit it down, add in some more things, correct grammar, spellings, mostly punctuation, actually. I think my grammar's okay. Anyway, yay!